North Georgia Technical College. My project is over graduation, retention, and persistent rates in terms of higher education governance. The project idea was to look at public and educational issues shaping the future of American higher education governance. But first, a little bit about who am I? I have been with North Georgia Technical College for 21 years. 16 of those years I was an instructor and 5 years as the dean. In my Department of Adult Education, I have separate enrollment and retention goals set by the state and graduation and transition percentages set by the federal government. Enrollment, retention, and persistent is key in my department. I also supervise 30 employees and cover 8 counties, so my job as an administrator involves grant writing, marketing, and collaboration. I have 8 advisory boards that help me govern and make decisions for my program. The future in higher education for me is to move to the vice president position of my department and continue the efforts of growing my program. But let's look a little bit about what our primary objective is in higher education. Since the National Defense Education Act of 1958, the main objective of the federal higher ed policy has been to increase access to higher education for those who would not otherwise have attended, especially those from low-income backgrounds. Increasing attention is now being paid to enhancing student retention and graduation, making sure that students not only get in the door for higher ed, but they're successful in staying through and completing their degree. What is happening now? Beginning in FY 2016, all of new money appropriated will be based on institutional performance. While the specific measures are still being developed, the following elements are being considered: student progression, degrees conferred, success of low-income and adult learners, and institutional specific measures to account for different missions and strategic initiatives. Higher ed needs to have a sharpened focus on retention, persistence, and graduation, as colleges and universities looking for more effective ways to support student success. But even for institutions with a transparent focus on persistence, putting effective programs in place is difficult. You have to be able to work with your president and your boards to make sure that you are putting programs that is going to be effective for your community and for your students. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, students who graduate with a 2 or 4 year degree in hand can expect to earn up to 70% more than those who complete only a high school diploma. I see this in my department a lot because the students need to come into our program that don't have a high school diploma. So they need to set up career pathways, which is one thing that we do. And we have gotten together with our boards and looked at this and set up career pathways for when the student enters the program so that they can see the goal at the end and they can work towards that goal, which therefore increases the retention rate. Our economy recovery depends in large part on how well we succeed at delivering education and retaining. We have to make sure that they like to come to school and that they like the program so that they will stay in the program. And building human capital to drive innovation is critical to sustaining our global standing. Here I have a chart on how the measures of the quality of an institution's overall product, retention, and graduation rates, and who they are of interest to. 6 of those are the accrediting agencies, and of course they're going to be interested in all the percentages. The general public, if your community is not happy with the program, then they are more likely to not buy into the college, and therefore enrollment will suffer. Policymakers, we all have to make sure that we are showing them our overall product. Taxpayers, students and their families are key because the families have to want their children to come to the college. And then alumni. Alumni is a big component because they are the ones that are going to have a lot of financial backing for your foundations and your different programs. But how does this affect higher education governance? One issue that I want to look at is hope. That is one issue that governance in higher education has to deal with, is how hope affects enrollment and retention rates. But what is hope? The HOPE program was initiated in 1993 and funded by the state lottery, and it had two components: the merit-based HOPE scholarship and the HOPE grant. The scholarship covered tuition, fees, books, expenses for any eligible high school graduate that wanted to attend a school in Georgia. And to qualify, they had to have at least a B average. There were no income restrictions. The HOPE grant has no income restrictions or merit requirements and can be applied only to non-degree programs at a two-year school. And since it has started, more than over $3 billion in program funds have been dispersed to over 850,000 students. I think HOPE is a crucial element in enrollment for higher education. Without HOPE being implemented in 1993, it would not be possible for hundreds of thousands of high school graduates to attend college. Students can stay in college at a minimum cost as long as they stay in Georgia. And this directly affects enrollment and retention. If HOPE was to go away, colleges would see a drastic reduction in enrollment. Tuition is another thing, and it is on the rise. One thing that we're having to deal with is the rising cost of tuition. But why does it keep rising? There's a lot of debate saying that increasing salaries of faculty administration drives up the tuition, and also because the state is contributing less to public colleges. In an article by Wexler, Howard Bunsis went on to say, "I go to college campuses almost every week and look at their expenses, and it's not student aid that's getting a bigger share of the pie. In most places, it's the administration." So that's a lot of times what colleges are having to look at as well, and boards, is the rising cost of that, and how it directly affects tuition. And of course, if tuition increases, that also can affect your enrollment. Here's a chart showing the tuition growth from 2005 to 2015, and it covered three areas: private, non-for-profit 4-year, public 4-year, and public 2-year. As you can see in the black, that is for the years 2014 and 15, your private non-profit 4-year decreased, where your public 2-year increased in tuition growth, and then the public 4-year just stayed the same. Higher education and community colleges have been looking at this situation for a long time. Many families are choosing to send their children to a 2-year college at a fraction of the cost, which is helping enrollment, retention, and persistence. With the combination of HOPE and Pell, parents are saving thousands of dollars. But where should higher governance look for more students? Who should they market to? Board members and administration should look for other markets to increase enrollment. Colleges cannot wait for students to come to them, and in a new world with social media and cell phones, marketing is crucial to enrollment, retention, and persistent in higher education. 3 areas that I looked at were veterans, transfer students, and returning adults with no degree. I have noticed that in our area of adult education, the target age is 25 to 44. That's where the highest percentage of our students are in our program. where a lot of them look to from 18 to 24. But I see that there's more adults returning to school with no degree. An example of board involvement here is by Jill Derby, and she's a former chair of Nevada System of Higher Education, where she served for 18 years. And she's currently serving on a board at the American University of Iraq. Her experiences working with public boards is that they don't necessarily have enough information about enrollment management to ask the right questions. So I think it's up to our president and faculty and governance, the VPs and deans, to make sure that the boards know about what's going on, what is our enrollment management issues, what do we look at. But she went on to say, but I don't think anybody who hasn't been involved in higher education would know what it is or why it's so important. Number one is that question of, does our institution have a program of enrollment management in place, or how does it work? What are its components? How are we valuing its success? How is it aligned with the goals in our strategic plan? How should boards address retention? For starters, colleges need to look at reasons students transfer or don't complete their degree by examining all aspects of college life, including the quality of the academic program. If retention is low, you're not pricing or marketing correctly, or you're not using financial aid correctly. Boards have to be aware of the changing population and how realistic it is to maintain the character of their institution going forward. One thing that we're doing on our campus is, in our enrollment committee, we've decided that we are going to have a college day before each semester starts so that new students can come on campus, tour the buildings, find their classes, meet their teachers, talk with anyone that they need to before they start their classes, so that they feel more acclimated on the first day, and therefore pulling them in as a family to where they want to stay and graduate from our school. Some more issues that we are looking at is that a college government must deal with the public pressure and economic imperatives plus the reality of a flat market. This can make retention and completion very important. One place that higher governance can start is looking at the success of course and degree completion rather than enrollment, and that's one obvious place to start. Technology is another place to increase retention and persistence. Boards and presidents, along with academic affairs, should look at online courses as a means to keep students in college. This allows the student to work from home and therefore increasing participation. Here is a structure of a preliminary model of institution action, and what you have on the outside is your institutional commitment and your attributes, values, external commitments, and then once you get inside your circle, that's where your support, feedback, and involvement come, and that will create learning, quality of effort, and success, all in an exceptional climate. In summary, involvement of higher education governance is extremely vital to recruitment, retention, and persistence in a college. Having a working structure of registration and retention, market research, admissions, and financial aid process can make the difference in the success of a college. Administration and college boards must stay on top of all issues within the college to make sure they're using up-to-date technology and marketing strategies to keep students wanting to continue their educations. And my final line, to me, sums up everything that we've been talking about, and that is, together we can make a difference. If we work with the higher ed governance, with boards, with presidents, with deans, with vice presidents, together we can all come in and put the pieces of the puzzle together and make a difference in our college's enrollment, retention, and persistence rates. And last, here's a list of references that you can look at where I looked and pulled my information and which helped me with this research. Thank you and have a nice day.